Hey, what's up, everybody? NitReg here from nitreg.com, and today I'm going to be talking about combinatorics. Let's go ahead and spell that out for you. So, combinatorics, what is that all about? It's basically bringing statistics into poker, and it tells you how many different combinations of hands someone will have in their range. So, for instance, if you're trying to figure out how many different combinations of, let's say, ace-king, for instance, is in someone's range, all you have to do is just say, okay, how many aces are there? Well, there's 4 aces in a deck, so it's 4. And then how many kings are there? And then there's going to be 4 kings in a deck. So that means that if you multiply these together, you'll have 16 different total combinations of ace-king they'll have. So, for instance, you could have ace of diamonds and a king of diamonds, the ace of diamonds, king of hearts, ace of diamonds, king of spades, ace of diamonds, king of clubs, and then you do that over and over again for every single type of ace. The suit of ace. So, it's just kind of that concept, but you don't have to count out every single combination and, have it in front of you. You can do it mathematically, just by asking yourself how many aces are there in the deck and how many kings are in the deck. Alright, so, that, if you want to, that will work for any sort of non-paired hand as well. So, let's say do 7. How many different combinations of 2s are there? Well, there's 4 of them. And how many different combinations of 7s are there in the deck? There's 4. 7 of diamonds, 7 of hearts, 7 of spades, 7 of clubs. Go ahead and multiply them all together again, and that's 16. So if you find that you have 2 cards that aren't paired, there's going to be 16 different combinations of them in a standard card deck for poker. So let's say we want to find out how many different combinations there are of ace-king suited. Well, that's going to be pretty simple. I mean, intuitively, it's just 4, right? Ace-king of diamonds, ace-king of spades, ace-king of clubs, ace-king of, I can't remember which one I didn't say, diamonds or something. So anyway, it's just 4, right? It's just all the suits in the deck. Well, yeah, it makes sense. And that's literally what it is, because, there's just one of each suit. What if you want to do something like a pocket pair, like pocket aces? How many different combinations of those are there? Well, it's kind of the same concept, but it's slightly different. So, how many different combinations of an ace are there? Well, there's 4. There's 4 different aces in the deck. Now, if you use one of the aces, how many are left in the deck? And that's 3. And you go ahead and multiply them together, and that makes 12. But there's one little trick to this. You have to divide by 2. And that makes 6 combinations. Whenever you're talking about a pocket pair, you always have to divide by 2, and that's just something you have to remember. If you want to know why, statistically, it's because you want to make sure you don't double count a hand. So, for instance, if mathematically, if you multiply 4 times 3 to get 12 combinations, it'll make something like the ace of diamonds and the ace of hearts the exact a different hand than the ace of diamonds and the ace of hearts. So the ace of diamonds, ace of hearts, and the ace of hearts and ace of diamonds would be 2 separate hands, when really they're the exact same hand, just in a different order. So we have to make sure we don't double count just by dividing by 2. So that should make sense for you guys, but if not, don't worry about it. Just divide by 2 with the pocket pairs. So I don't know. Let's just try to think of fun things we can do with combinatorics. You never really have to use this, but it's just a little bit of practice to show the concept. And then after that, I'll kind of show you how you can use combinatorics inside hands. So anyway, let's see. Let's ask, how many different types of hands can you make in No Limit Texas Hold'em? Well, let's start out. How many different cards are in the deck? They'll hand you 2 cards. So the first card, how many different possibilities can you have? Well, 52, right? So there's 4 different suits and 13 different types of cards, and it's a 52 card deck. So the first number is 52. Well, if you have one of those 52 cards, then how many cards are left in the deck? Well, 51, right? So 52 times 51. I'm not a mathematician, so I'll multiply this. Is 2,652. And that means that there's 2,652 different combinations of hands in No Limit Texas Hold'em. But there's one thing, and maybe you've already noticed this. This is kind of like the pocket aces hand. We don't want to double count hands, so we'll have to go ahead and divide this by 2. So go ahead and divide by 2. 1,326. So there's 1,326 total combinations of hands in No Limit Texas Hold'em. Cool. So that's kind of an interesting thing about combinatorics. But let's go ahead and actually put it into practice, something that could be actually useful. And I totally advocate for all my students to do this when they're reviewing their own hands. Let's say that there's a board. We'll just go ahead and make it ace, 10, 7, 3, deuce. All rainbow. So there's no flush draws on the board. And let's say that we have pocket threes. Okay, so let's say that whatever the pot is, our opponent goes all in for a pot-sized bet on the river. So opponent all in for pot-sized bet on river. Okay. So let's say, in theory, we put him on 2 pair and sets, and we want to know if we should call or not. Well, let's go ahead and see what type of 2 pair and sets we think he will have. We'll think he has pocket aces, pocket 10s, pocket 7s. He can't have pocket 3s because there's a 3 on the board, and we have 2 3s in our hands. So there's only 1 3 left in the deck. He could have deuces. He could have ace 10, ace 7, ace 3, ace deuce, 10, 7. Let's just say that's it. So this is our range that we put him on. So this is just kind of like a fairly standard range you might put someone on, and you may be reviewing this hand and you're not really sure. You have them all laid out, but you don't really know kind of if you should call or not. Well, we go ahead and figure out how many hands are ahead of and how many hands are behind of. So let's go ahead and make 2 different categories. The first one will be hands that you're behind, and that's aces, 10s, and 7s. And then the hands that you're ahead of are deuces, ace 10, ace 7, ace 3, ace deuce, and the 10, 7. Oops, keep missing that. Alright, so now what we want to do is we want to find the different combinations. Let's start with pocket aces here. Pocket aces, we have, let me go ahead and do it this way. So let's see, pocket aces. There's 1 ace on the board already up here. So how many aces are left in the deck? And the answer is 3. So we're going to do 3. And then once there's 1 ace on board and we use 1 ace for that first card, how many aces are left in the deck? And the answer is 2. So 3 times 2 is 6, but then we divide it by 2 since it's a pocket pair. That equals 3 different combinations. So for pocket aces, that means that there's 3 different combinations. And you'll find that if you do that with pocket 10s and pocket 7s, you'll find 3 combinations for each of those. So the answer here is going to be 3 combinations, 3 combinations, and 3 combinations. And that's going to equal 9 combinations of hands we lose to. So that's 9. I mean, seems like quite a bit. Let's check out the hands that we currently beat. So let's check out the first one here. Pocket deuces. We already determined that a pocket pair, with basically a set on this board is going to come out to be 3 different combinations. So we'll go ahead and make the first one 3 combinations. Let's figure out ace 10 though. Ace 10 is going to be a little interesting. So there's an ace on board. How many different aces are left in the deck? Well, there's going to be 3 of them. How about 10s? How many different 10s are left in the deck? And there's going to be 3 of those as well. So you do 3 times 3, and that equals 9. So there's 3 combinations of ace 9. And how about ace 7? There's going to be 3 times 3, and that's going to be 9 again. How about ace three? Uh, well, this you're gonna have to be a little careful on, just because we have pocket threes. So there's three different aces, but be careful. There's only two threes, and that's because one's on the board, and I'm sorry. There's one three. There's one on the board and two in our hand. So we know that there's one three and there's three aces. So that means that there's three different combinations. Because we multiply 3 times 1. There's three different combinations of ace 3. Now for ace 2, it's just going to be 9 combinations again. And 10-7 is going to be another 9 combinations. So if we go ahead and add all these together, it's going to be... let me do this really quick. 3... No, actually, I'll do this. 6 plus 18 plus 18. That's 42 different combinations. So, 42 combinations of hands we win against. So, if you can see, there's 9 different combinations we lose to and 42 different hands that we win against. So, 80% around of the hands that our opponent has, we're beating. So we should definitely call this. We should absolutely snap call this. So that's basically what you're going to be doing to do combinatorics. The one different thing about this is you need like around 80% equity here to go ahead and call. But if someone bets a pot-sized bet, pot-sized bet, you have to be right half the time or more to be profitable. So that definitely meets the criteria here. Here's a hand where we could use another example. So I'll go ahead and delete this. So for this example, this is a hand I played the other day. I decided to 3-bet this guy. I didn't have that many hands on him at the time. I just saw that he was fairly loose, and he, at the time, had folded like 3 out of 4 times or something. So I 3-bet him, which is debatable. And he flats out of position. And here, I figure that this guy probably isn't going to call out position with a king that often, like an ace-king type hand. So he would re-raise, and he'd probably fold king-queen out of position. So I figure he's going to have a lot of hands that are basically middle pocket pairs, pocket threes, pocket nines, and really is not going to have ace-king or king-x that often. And he's probably not going to have pocket aces as well, as he'd probably re-raise that pre-flop. So if I want to figure out what I think his range is, I'm going to go ahead and calculate it. So let me go ahead and move this over. So I'm going to think I think most of the time people like to flat out of position with like pocket pairs or ace queen. That's typically kind of what people do, like ace queen suited usually. Well, people that fold a lot, so 3-bets that is, and that's kind of how I viewed him at the time. So if I want on this board, I can go ahead and calculate deuces through queens, and for pocket deuces there are let's see, well, in pocket deuces there's 4 different cards in the deck, and then when you use one there's 3 left, so it's 4 times 3 is 12, and then divided by 2 is 6. So there's 6 combinations of pocket deuces. For pocket threes there's going to be 3 different combinations since there's one already out on the board. Pocket fours, there's 6. Actually, let me separate this. Pocket deuces, there's 6. Pocket fours, there's 6 combinations. Pocket fives, there's 6. Pocket sixes, there's 6. Pocket sevens, there's 6. Pocket eights, there's 6. Pocket nines, we'll leave that alone for now. Pocket tens, there's 6. Oh, I'm sorry. We have a 10 in our hand, so pocket tens, there's 3. Pocket jacks, there's 6, and pocket queens, there are 6. Now, let's go ahead and figure out 3, 3, and 9, 9. Let's figure out how many different combinations of those there are, and if you do 3 times 2 is 6, divided by 2, that's 3 combinations. There's 3 combinations of pocket threes, and 3 different combinations of pocket nines. So, oh yeah, let's also just do like ace queen suited really quickly. That's 4 combinations because there's ace queen of diamonds, ace queen of spades, ace queen of hearts, ace queen of clubs. So if we go ahead and do this, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 types of 6 combinations. So we'll go ahead and do 6. So this equals 51. So there's 51 different combinations of this, plus the 4 combinations of ace queen, which makes 55 combinations of bad hands, or hands that I think he'll fold. Pocket 3s and pocket 9s are slightly different. Oh, I made a mistake. Pocket 9s here. Hopefully you caught me on this. I have a 9 in my hand. So there's 9 on the board, 9 on my hand. How many different combinations of pocket 9s are there? There's 1. I mean, you can figure this out, right? Because there's a club and a diamond. That means that there's a heart and a spade left. So that's just one different combination that you can make. But you can figure out mathematically by doing it 2 times 1, and then it's 2, and then you divide it by 2, which is 1. So then there's 4 types of hands. 4 combinations of hands that beat me. So right here, I mean, I do have a pair, which is nice, but I think a lot of the hands that he could have, I can just get them all to folds, like right now or by the turn, just because I don't think he has that strong of a hand. So I know that a huge percentage of his hand range on this specific board is going to be hands that just really suck and can't continue that often. So I go ahead and c-bet, and he decides to call. Now, when he calls, I think he's going to go ahead and dump all these, pocket pairs, except for pocket 3s, pocket 9s, 10s, jacks, queens, and maybe the occasional ace-king that's somehow still in there. So, I don't know, I kind of have to think about his range. I really don't think he's going to have ace-king that often, so I'm going to really heavily discount that. And the 7 is kind of an irrelevant turn. I don't expect that 7 to help him at all. So now if we think about this, let's think about, there's 4 combinations of 3, 3, and 9, 9. And now let's figure out 10s through queens. Figure out 10s through queens, which I figure is going to be a huge part of his range right here, just because he's kind of repping like a middle pocket pair type hand, and he probably doesn't have a 9, since I have a 9 in my hand. So we'll go ahead and do 4 combinations of the 1 10 and 3 combinations of the other 10. 4 times 3 is 12, divided by 2 is 6, so there's 6 combinations of pocket 10s. So that means that there's going to be 6 combinations of pocket jacks and 6 combinations of pocket queens. And that's going to equal 18 combinations of hands that are weak. So now his hand range is a little more defined on the turn, but there's still 18 combinations of hands that are pretty weak here and probably going to fold to another bet. And there's another 4 combinations. There's still the 4 combinations of hands that beat us. So I go ahead and decide to barrel again. Again, it doesn't have to be like that big of a bet because I feel like he's just going to fold his middle pocket pairs. I don't know that, but I just assume if someone had, pocket 10s or jacks or queens here, they'll probably just fold and give me credit for having a king. But he goes ahead and calls, and then the river's a king, and I'm just going to completely shut down here. And we check it down, and he actually has pocket 10s. I was debating betting the river, but I didn't know that much about this guy at the time. But one adjustment I can make now is I know that he doesn't fold middle pocket pairs. So combinatorically, assuming that he's going to fold a middle pocket pair by the turn, I played it right just by knowing the different combinations of hands that I can get to fold and how many different combinations of hands that aren't going to fold. So I feel like I played it right, but now knowing the information that I do know, I'm going to adjust my play style against this guy because I know that he's not going to give up any sort of pair easily out of position. So either I'm going to have to go ahead and 3-barrel this board next time, or just take my pocket 9s on the flop and try to check it down. Either way, I think is going to be okay. So anyway, I hope you guys have kind of understand this. If you have any questions, go ahead and post it in the comments down below. As for me, I'm Nitreg from nitreg.com. If you like this and this sort of strategy and information helps you out, check out nitreg.com, and on the sidebar you'll be able to download my e-course, which will give you hand charts plus a free ebook that I wrote, which will tell you all sorts of fun and interesting things that will help you out. And it's stuff that I purposely wrote about that you won't really find in the bookstores. This is stuff that you need to know as a poker player, but it's not readily available. Um, that much. You'd have to do some digging for it. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoy this, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.